Alright, everyone. This is Tanya Phillips, also known as our grandmother, is going to tell us a story to help us people understand what it might be like to have autism. And she's going to need some help. Can you all help her?
Sure.
So, our grandmother is in a class at Centralia College called The Exceptional Child. And she had to read a book for the class and do a presentation. The title is Population 1, subtitled Autism, Adversity, and the Will to Succeed. The author is Tyler McNamara, who is a young man with autism. It was published by Aviva Publishing in New York in 2013. That is the year Tyler graduated from high school. Before we talk too much about the book, let's talk a little bit about what autism is. Let's look at the book that she used for her class. Exceptional Lives, Practice, Progress, and Dignity in Today's Schools. The 9th edition, which was written by these 4 people on the bottom and published by Pearson Education in New York. This last edition came out in 2020. It says that the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, or IDEA, defines autism as a developmental disability that significantly affects verbal and nonverbal communication and social interaction. This means that children with autism are legally covered under IDEA to get extra help in school. But what is autism? Autism is a complex brain disorder. Can you put up that picture of the brain? Thank you. Autism affects a child's ability to communicate, respond to surroundings, or form relationships with others. Autism is a developmental disorder of the brain that occurs in all people of racial, ethnic, and social backgrounds. Let's put this picture of how complex the autistic brain is. See all those puzzle pieces? Very complex. Lots of small pieces. Way more complicated than the normal brain. All forms of autism are now grouped together under the autism spectrum disorder. Some children with autism have no speech at all and may seem to be unaware of the world around them. Some may display characteristics like repetitive activities, resistance to change in their daily routines, sensory issues to light or sound, abnormally intense or focused interest, and inability to make and sustain friendships, among other unique traits of each child. They could fall anywhere in this spectrum. All this information I just shared comes from the book and from a website called the National Institute of Neurological Disorders and Stroke under the Autism Spectrum Disorder Fact Sheet. This is where I really need your help. Our brains take in information from our ears and our eyes to our touch. Can you put this part of the brain in his head? So senses.
In the brain.
Our brains help us decipher language and learn to speak and listen to communicate. Does anyone have communications? Put that in the brain. Thank you. Our brains send messages to our bodies for our organs to function and to learn things like to walk and run. Does anyone have body? Yes, thank you. The front part of our brain helps us make decisions and to respond to things around us, like things we like or don't like, things we want to do and don't want to do. Decision making. Our brains also give us emotions and feelings and the desire to connect with other people. Our brains do lots of more things, of course, but for this demonstration, this is enough. This is not a brain presentation, after all. When a child has autism, their brains don't respond in the typical way to these messages being processed. What do you think goes on in an autistic brain? Porter, what do you think happens? That's right, the brain can go crazy. Lights and sounds can be overwhelming and scary. Communication can be hard to do. Our bodies may not run or respond in the way our peers do. Our emotions may be all over the place or locked deep inside. Tyler, the author of Population 1, has what is called high-functioning autism, which is on this end of the spectrum. People with high-function autism are often able to be educated with their peers, attend college, or even have careers, but because each person with autism is unique, their life journey is unique as well. For the rest of this presentation, we are going to focus on high-functioning autism. Let's go back to Tyler's book about his journey. In his book, Grandma learned that people with high-functioning autism have opinions and thoughts about the same things any other person does. They just may see things from a different perspective. But Tyler's message is that different in the world is good. We are all different. But because of his differences, Tyler had to deal with a lot of bullying, mostly in his early school years. He had to learn to physically fight to defend himself. He also found himself eating alone a lot and feeling left out in what he calls the normal group at school. Sometimes he didn't understand what he did or said wrong because he didn't understand social cues, but he did feel the rejection. Because Tyler had parents who loved and supported him, and other adults who did the same in his life, he learned to have a good self-esteem. He used his failures and his rejections to learn to interact better with his peers. In high school, he was both popular and an oddity, his words, but he wasn't hiding in the shadows. He liked to perform in plays and in broadcasting, and he wrote many articles for the school newspaper. He also attacked controversial subjects in his writing and was awarded for it. He says he exuded school spirit and was known for his cheers and getting the crowd going. He understands that he is different, and he accepts it. He was considering college at the writing of his book. He wants to fall in love someday. He has hopes and dreams. He has opinion on politics and human behavior. His goal is to be the best Tyler he can be and make a difference in the world. Another high-functioning person with autism is Temple Grandin.
Oh, I got that one.
And they made a movie about her life. It is called Temple Grandin, and it was produced by the Warner Brothers in 2010. It tells about her life growing up with autism, including the obstacles and the triumphs she went through. In both her movie and Tyler's book, she learned that many people with autism can achieve great things, that their unique minds are important to our world. In one of Temple's videos called Living with Autism, produced by the Marion Institute, in their Connector series in 2016, she talks about Albert Einstein and Thomas Edison. Many believe Albert Einstein and Thomas Edison may have had high-functioning autism. To society they made. The Temple Grandin herself has made many great contributions to both the cattle industry and the contribution to society they made. Master's degree in animal husbandry. And in the autism world, with her ability to depict to an audience what autism is, what it is like, and more importantly, how amazing autism can be. As Tanya works with children and families in her role as a family support for the ECEAP preschool, she feels it is important to focus on the abilities and the uniqueness of one's child with autism. One book I think would be a tool in helping parents and children understand autism better is also about Temple Grandin. The title is The Girl Who Thought in Pictures, the story of Dr. Temple Grandin. It was written by Julia Finley Mosca and illustrated by Daniel Riley, and produced by Innovation Press in 2017. It is recommended for children in kindergarten to 5th grade. I have included the Amazon link at the reference page attached to this presentation. You can click on the view inside the book and see all illustrations and encouragements in the book. Helping children and their families is the uniqueness of how their brain works with autism, and the awesome things it can do is important for their self-esteem and development. Is her biggest takeaway from learning about autism? Well, I will leave you with this question. Is autism a disability, or is autism a different ability?